Welcome to the Unit 6 family video for second grade math. This is brought to you by Stephanie Conlin. I'm an elementary math curriculum specialist here in CMS in the Learning and Teaching Department. Thanks so much for joining me. Today we are going to be looking at Unit 6 with Geometry, Time, and Money. That's exactly what this video is on. The second video, where you've probably accessed the first one, includes addition and subtraction, or adding and subtracting within 1,000. And these are the two big areas of study for quarter 3 for second graders. So of course our video today, the goal is to answer these three big questions, like what are we learning in quarter 3, what does it look like, and what are some ideas of things you can do at home. So for geometry, time, and money, sounds like three really big buckets. And so we're going to spend just a couple moments thinking about each of these, and I'm going to give you some examples of things that your students learning here at school. So in Unit 6 for geometry, kids start out by thinking about what they already know about shapes that helps them name the shapes that they see or draw the shapes that they're asked to draw. And by second grade, kids have seen these particular shapes. They've worked with them a lot. And I put these colors up here on purpose because kids have used these shapes that we call pattern blocks. They're like hands-on shapes, and they've been using them since kindergarten. So to them, they see the orange square, they know that's a square. They see that green triangle and they know it's a triangle, and so on. But really what we want students to know is that, yes, they're right, that is a triangle, and it has 3 sides and 3 vertices or corners. And we do call the square and this red trapezoid, those are quadrilaterals. They all have 4 sides and 4 vertices, and that the yellow shape is a hexagon. It's always the hexagon when we use those hands-on materials. However, there's more. There's a lot more to geometry in these shapes that we call triangles and quadrilaterals and hexagons. There's more than meets the eye. So what we want to do this year is broaden students' understanding of what do we call a hexagon. And so the shapes that you see here on your screen might now push back on what students typically think of when they think of a triangle or a quadrilateral or a hexagon. And so this year students get exposed to the idea that they've got to make sure that they count the sides to determine the name of the shape. It can't just be what it looks like. We have to think more mathematically than that. So we're trying to break them out of just thinking there's only these 4 examples or only a couple prototype examples of how we name shapes, and we want to find more mathematical ways to do that. Then we also talk with students about how they can determine the name of a 3-dimensional shape. And in second grade, we work specifically with these rectangular prisms like this green one, and then with cubes like you see here on your screen as well. And we want students to identify, again, what makes a cube a cube? There's squares on all sides of the cube. And for the rectangular prism, I see some rectangles. I might see some squares on some sides too. So really starting to identify those attributes or those characteristics that really help us accurately name shapes. That's important. The other part of geometry is partitioning or breaking a shape into halves, fourths, and the new one for them is thirds. So students have been making halves, they've been making fourths, and they're learning that 2 halves make the whole shape and 4 fourths make the whole shape. But man, making thirds can be hard for kids. It can be hard for all of us. So how do we do that? Is this correct? And this is something that students are going to encounter a lot. Is this one way that we can show thirds? And we want them to realize that's not right. If we're breaking a circle or a rectangle into something that looks like this, those parts aren't all the same. And I think I see 4 parts and not 3 parts. Sometimes kids think if they draw 3 lines that they have thirds. So we want them to pay attention to how many lines they're drawing, how many parts they made, and the size of all those parts. So here's an example of how we could show students how to make thirds using a circle in a way that is more accurate. So we want students to be using words like I'm finding thirds or fourths or quarters respectively in terms of whatever shapes they're given. Another section of Unit 6 is time on the clock. In previous years, students have learned to tell time to the hour and the half hour. So here we see an example of a clock where students have to think, I have to count by 5s, and I have to know which hand I'm counting by to correctly identify the time on the clock shown. And another part of their work in second grade is thinking about, well, would this example of an activity be an AM activity or PM? So the example we have here is, oh, I might tell you that it's 3:45, but can you tell me if it's AM or PM? And why do you think so? So of course we want kids to say, it's after school, it has to be PM. 3:45 in the morning, I'm hoping I'm sleeping. And then the last part of Unit 6 is about the value of money. So the first thing that students do in this unit is expand their thinking of money in terms of identifying coins and their values, and then saying how much this little like collection of coins that we see here, how much is that actually worth? And this helps students develop fluency for adding and subtracting without 100. And we're just doing it through the context or the story of money to do that. So they learn that a dollar has the same value as 100 cents, and then they solve some problems using dollars and cents as well. So for Unit 6, that feels like a lot. So here are just 3 things that you can do at home. Maybe take a screenshot if you want, so you can pull it up anytime you're like in the car, or if you're at home and you're trying to think, what is something I can do to reinforce what's going on? Here are 3 ideas, one for geometry, shapes around the house, one for time, talking about what time is it, and then is it AM or PM? And then counting collections of coins at home. Sometimes I think about maybe I have a game that has some plastic money in it. We could use that. Thank you, families, for joining us for our mathematics family video. And thanks for partnering with us at home. We're confident that with your encouragement and support, our young mathematicians will gain a wealth of knowledge and develop a strong foundation in math this year. And for more elementary math resources, you can visit the CMS website. Thanks and have a great year.